So guys, we've spent a lot of time on this channel talking about mods, and if you've watched either of these two videos I've dropped, then you have undoubtedly heard me utter the phrase, mods do not a healthy ecosystem make, but they certainly do bolster said ecosystem and allow us gamers, particularly in the VR landscape, to dive into some of the best video gaming experiences possible. So in honor of all the unsung VR mod heroes, I've decided that today's video is all about Fire VR mods. Welcome to the simulation inside the simulation. I am Tooodamngolden, your VR Voyager, and today I'm going to be breaking down 5 of the best VR mods available at this very moment. So just for context, this list does not include any of Praydog's UE VR mods, as I'm working on a separate independent video for those games, and it also does not include mods for games with official VR support, so things like Skyrim and Fallout 4 also will not be anywhere to be found on today's video. But what you can find at number 5 on today's countdown is the dwarf slaying high-octane co-op shooter Deep Rock Galactic, which thanks to the team of Alchemist, Corso, Airfisty, and Kit has been beautifully constructed for VR courtesy of a free mod simply known as VRG. And this, in my opinion, was already a severely underrated title in its flat iteration, but when brought to VR, this one absolutely shines on a whole nother level, as the mineral wrench caves of Hox's 4 are absolutely breathtaking with the new perspective that VR has to offer, and only adds to the already stellar title that is Deep Rock Galactic. Gameplay, like the flat version, centers around completing missions through an array of procedurally generated caves, each boasting their own distinct terrain, hazard, and enemy types in this co-op first-person shooter experience, where upon descending into a cave via an orbital drop pod, players will begin a task such as mining a particular resource or repairing abandoned equipment, all the while fending off hostile aliens, managing your scarce supply of ammunition, and of course navigating throughout the cave. This one does sport full 6 DOF support, so motion controllers are in play, and while there is a bit of jank to be had with the menus and weapon switching aspects of the game, the added level of immersion provided by bringing this high energy shooter to the VR world is well worth the trade-off in my opinion, as the atmosphere, combat polish, and general fun to be had with this one's simple yet effective gameplay loop definitely make this one a treat, and is locked in at number 5 on today's countdown. In at number 4 on today's countdown is the Two Forks VR mod for the narrative-driven adventure title Firewatch, and this one truthfully was something that I didn't know I needed in VR at all, but I'll be damned if I absolutely did not need this. Telling the story of Henry, a fire lookout in 1989 Wyoming, Firewatch as a VR title is a truly unique experience that leans heavily on its narrative, supported by an unparalleled back and forth rapport between Henry and fellow fire lookout Delilah, and its exceptionally well designed stylized graphics to carry the adventure throughout. The basic gameplay in this one revolves around what some semblance of what people would consider a walking simulator, but with much more to do than games of a similar ilk, with the gamer doing quite a bit of free exploration in addition to locating a variety of hidden caches scattered throughout. But once again, truthfully, the magic in this game lies within the top-notch voice acting and amazing dialogue options provided that combine to create a beautiful yet tense and emotionally driven experience, and the addition of VR to me has truly turned this already excellent title into undoubtedly a must-play adventure for all my fellow VR enthusiasts. So the game in at number 3 today needs absolutely no introduction at all, as Half-Life 2 is one of the most universally acclaimed shooters in gaming history, and this of course is for good reason, as to this day Half-Life 2 still holds up, and the introduction of a free licensed and supported mod for VR goers only further enhances this one's enduring qualities. And enhance them it does, guys, as the Source VR mod team over at Flat to VR Studios absolutely killed it with this one, as the high stakes adrenaline pumping action that we have come to know and love from the series holds up very well in VR, with players such as myself being absolutely awestruck at City 17's impressive views while jumping into Gordon Freeman's classic adventure. Now, gameplays wise, if you've played or seen any gameplay of Half-Life Alyx, then for the most part you know what to expect, as this narrative follows the events of Half-Life 1 taking place 20 years after the events of Black Mesa, in a world which now sees Earth subjugated by the Combine, and you, Gordon Freeman, are being tasked with stopping the enemies, both Combine and human alike. And with one of the biggest complaints currently in the VR space at the moment being that there aren't enough full-length narrative single-player experiences, Half-Life 2 not only helps to fill this void, but with Valve officially, unofficially giving this one support, it also provides what seems to be an almost native to VR means of doing so, which feels great to play with very little jank to be had within my playthrough with this one. And guys, the sights and sounds that only VR can bring to gaming absolutely shine within Half-Life 2, and it is a quintessential must-play VR mod. So in at number 2 today is Alien Isolation, which is one of the best survival horror titles that I have ever played, platform notwithstanding, as you assume the role of Amanda Ripley, the daughter of Ellen Ripley from 1979's hit Alien, and this game is in fact a direct sequel to that film, set 15 years after its events. Now, to say that the atmosphere of this one is tense wouldn't even begin to do it justice, as even in its flat iteration, it's filled to the brim with suspense, but Mother VR has entered the chat and has turned Alien Isolation into a VR nightmare, as you really do feel as if you have teleported aboard the Sevastopol, carnage surrounding it all. Gamers will spend their time completing a variety of admittedly innocuous tasks as they make their way throughout this one, but what really makes Alien Isolation special is the omnipresent feeling of pure eeriness, as players will sneak and combat various enemies during the duration of its title, as well as hiding, running, and occasionally engaging the star of the show, the alien himself. Seriously guys, running to hide in a locker while the intensity of the score increases and watching the alien hunt you down provides some of the most heart-pumping moments that gaming has to offer, and combine these instances with a beautiful yet gritty visual presentation, and what us gamers get is one of the best games to touch down in the last 15 years, and it is one of the elite VR mods currently available for gamers to play. So before we get to the number 1 game on today's countdown, let's just take a second to peep a few that just missed the cut. So the number 1 game on today's countdown is my personal favorite VR title, as Resident Evil Biohazard in VR is the most terrifying experience that gaming possesses, full stop. From the opening sequences walking through the fields in the Louisiana Bayou to your first moments inside the initial House of Horrors, Resident Evil Biohazard is a premier VR experience and is one of the best examples of what the medium can offer the gaming space. Now, from a gameplay perspective, this one revolves around you assuming the role of Ethan Winters as he searches for his wife on the Baker family estate in Dulvey, Louisiana. And this is an in-your-face horror masterpiece that will see you using a variety of weapons to battle different members of the aforementioned Baker family, and they have all been afflicted with some sort of parasite that causes them to berserk, as your wife has also been afflicted with the same thing. In one of the more crazy moments at the beginning of the game, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't played it, she actually attacks you. You end up having to knock her off. She takes off your arm. Shit gets crazy. But back to what I'm actually supposed to be talking about for you today. Essentially, they've all been afflicted with some sort of parasite that causes them to go absolutely berserk and channel superhuman levels of strength, agility, regeneration, which in tandem with the monstrosities that are found around called the molded, make the combat in this one as intense as all hell. With this being a Prey Dog mod, there is absolutely no doubt about the quality of the product, as that is exactly what Prey Dog is known for, and this one works nearly flawlessly. And I say nearly flawless because there are instances where you have to answer a phone, and they do force a bit of an odd perspective that may make some users sick, and the menu layout does leave a bit to be desired, but particularly with the issue of the forced perspective, I personally just close my eyes. It usually takes 2 seconds. I just listen to the call and then I progress forward through the game, but just wanted to make sure that people were aware of those. And these are a no capacity game breaking and the life or death at all times atmosphere, combined with the most enjoyable base gameplay of any Resident Evil title in years, work excellently in VR. And for those of you who haven't gotten the opportunity to do so, I highly recommend checking this one out, as it is once again my absolute VR experience no questions asked. So that just about wraps up today's video. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe, guys. It really does help the channel out. And be sure to drop me a comment below, guys. Tell me which VR mod out there is your absolute favorite. Again, I didn't touch on any of the Prey Dog specific UE VR mods, but I do have a future video planned for that. So be sure to check that out. And if you're looking for something else to watch, consider one of these two videos on screen right now.